Hello, today I'm going to be talking about the Exorcist Believer film. I finally went to see it. First of all, I'm going to speak about my cinema experience. Okay. So when I got there, I saw a bunch of teenagers in there and I was like, wow, okay. I thought this was a 18. When the trailers all rolled and finished, it turns out it was a 15. When I saw the 15 age rating screen on there, my expectations fell from low to lower. They was basically on the floor and I was just like, oh my god, no, this film is a complete cash grab.
I like money.
Moving on, the film carried on. Yeah, throughout the film I could hear the theatre next door. Guess what they were playing next door? It was the live Taylor Swift tour, so every now and again between the jump scares and the suspense and the quiet moments, you could hear We're Never Getting Back Together by Taylor Swift. Kind of ruined the mood a little bit, but was still super funny. Quickly, I'm just going to give this film a 3.5 out of 10. My opinion of the film was super low.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
And yeah, overall the film delivered on that. It was nothing really special. I didn't find myself caring about any of the characters, the events, or anything that really happened to them. The whole film itself was just super flat and everything was very surface level. It was okay, it was better than my expectations, which were probably about a 2 after watching the trailer. But then again, yeah, that's really low. So 3.5 I think is forgiving. A little bit of a history lesson. Producers of The Exorcist 3 wanted a film with 2 possessed girls. The idea was to ditch the book based on Legion and have Reagan McNeil give birth to 2 possessed twins. The writer Blatty thought that seemed like a really stupid idea and went for a different studio and we got The Exorcist 3 that we know today. But then 40 years later we got a film with 2 possessed characters and it turns out, yeah, he was right, it was trash. Before I get too far into talking about the film, I want to talk about the makeup and the effects. Those teams done an amazing job on the girls and the possession and the deterioration of how they were going through the film. So FX, makeup, really good stuff. The rest of it, it's a shame that it will let you down. So throughout the film there were just so many scenes that carry very little weight and really didn't need to be there. A couple of examples of the boxing scene, the creepy family photo shoot scene with the screaming kids, talking and threatening the homeless people scene, the jump scare where people just kind of broke into the main character's house to bless them when the girls were gone. This was not needed. The film's almost 2 hours long and there's so much chaff that could have been cut out or blended together to give the film more time to, you know, get a bit more of a well-rounded plot or better characters, but we have this. Moving into the characters, there's very little character development. When there is, it's only very surface level. Dad believes in God when it's convenient and he needs to heal his daughter. Prior to that, he'd given up on his faith. Okay, what else? Nothing. The other family are an angry, repressed, religious family. Okay, they don't change through the film. Chris McNeil, she comes in and spurts some gibberish about being an expert on exorcism. It annoys me. She's an advisor, not an expert, but you get paid for what you label yourself, and experts earn more money. And she doesn't really change through the film, like at all. She encounters one of the possessed girls and gets taken straight out of the film, and she's sat in a hospital for the rest of it. Zero character development. And I just think she was quite a poorly written character to come back as a legacy character anyway. She also has a line in the film about not being allowed in the room during the first exorcism in the original Exorcist film and saying something about, oh, it was the freaking patriarchy. And I just thought, give yourself a rest. Both the exorcists died, successfully saving your daughter. You've been out, alive, free, writing books, and in reality, you probably would have been arrested for murder ×2 and domestic abuse and Reagan having all those scars and a broken back. So allow your silly little lines, thank you. So yeah, moving from the characters to the scares, there were a few jump scares in the movie that just sucked. They were just there for the sake of being there. The first one was literally a snake jumped out from underneath a rock. The second one was people broke into Victor's house and they were blessing the house while the girls were missing. This was all leading up into being something creepy and spooky, but no, his neighbor just touched him on the shoulder and we got like a big whip.
Idly-ho, neighborinos!
And that was a jump scare in an Exorcist film. There are good jump scares in this film. One comes a little bit later where they had Angela in bed, Victor speaking to her. They've just come back after all of this horrible gone missing ordeal, and then the demon version of her appears behind Dad and everyone in the cinema, even me. I was just like, ooh. And then Angela says, "Leave me alone now." Dad thinks that she's speaking to her, but she's speaking to the demon that's behind her. Great scare. If there was more of this in the film, this film would have been a lot better off for it. But no, we just get a bunch of really cheap, nothing crap jump scares throughout the whole film. And then there are some creepy for creepy sake moments, like when the family take the family photo and you get the kid running around screaming, and then there's like a distorted face of him, and the editing is really weird to make the kid's face look more demonic. I was just like, this has nothing to do with the context of the film. Why is this happening? And these kind of scares are just littered in this film that's already bloated and needs a better foundation for the plot and for the characters. But no, they've just had a producer say, oh, this is a cool spooky idea, and just throw that into this jumbled mess of shite. God damn it! The "you've been missing for 3 days" delivery was so weak.
Angela, can you tell your dad how long you were gone?
A few hours.
Baby, you've been gone 3 days.
It could have been so much better, but it just fell flat in this film. Maybe because a lot of the big reveal moments were in the trailer, just like this one. This one was in the trailer, so you see it coming, you know what they're gonna say. And I think that just takes away from some of the big, more impactful scenes of the movie. Then, the way that this kind of line got delivered, it was built up to in such a cringe way. I was just thinking in this scene, I was thinking this would never happen. Why is this cop basically bullying this child who's gone through this massive, horrible ordeal into saying what she's already told them again for her dad while the camera's there for the audience? So yeah, that scene just needed to be rewritten and just not be in the trailer for there to actually be a creepy impact. The hospital examination scene when the girls were found was very realistic, really uncomfortable, and this was the beginning of the second act of the film, which really could have launchpad this film into a good trajectory again. But what did they do instead? They had a really stupid, silly little jump scare where Vanessa hits the window in the hospital. Dude, come on. And then the scare literally after that is the one that I just previously mentioned about her and Victor being in the bedroom and him putting her to bed. So that would have been such a better scare. There would have been more tension there getting to that, and it would have been a lot better. Again, I said it in my previous video, the church scene is just babbling nonsense. It's creepy for creepy's sake, like a lot of the stuff in this film, with very little context. It's just surface level. Look, she's possessed now and this is happening. Cool. I feel like the possessions go from 0 to 100 very quickly. There's no real build up through Act 2 of the possessions. There's a little bit, some of it's creepy, but not a whole lot. The explanation given to what has happened to the girls was, oh, they've been missing for 3 days, and then the insane rantings of the religious family basically said, oh, well, Jesus went for 3 days as well, and they say that he went to hell for 3 days and then come back. And I just thought, is that really the explanation that they're gonna go with here?
What?
The plot is already paper thin.
Play that trick on you.
And this is what they're leaning on. Fuck off. It's just weak. I really enjoyed the scene of Angela speaking to Anne in the hospital. I thought that was a really good little scene. It was really well done. That gave us a bit more context. It's going to appear later in the film when she's speaking about her religious past and the child that she never had. Yeah, I thought it was really well done, well delivered horror. Generally, the good horror comes from Angela, but it comes quite rarely.
Are you sure about that?
So the second act continues. We're back with Chris McNeil and Victor. They go see Angela. She's written Reagan below the window for some reason for the audience to see and not her. And then they're like, oh, okay, then, well, the other one knows we're coming. We better go see the other one. And I'm just like, what? Okay. We then cut to Chris and Victor going to the house of the religious family. And the religious family is so scared they can't open the door. So they break their way in. The demon girl is doing creepy girl demon shit around the house. Victor gets the family up and out, but they believe that the demon is coming for them or their sins or whatever. Again, the plot is absolutely paper thin and pretty much nonsense at this point. Then Chris goes upstairs. We get the whole, I know you, you know me, it's me again. It's a different fucking demon. The demon in Exorcist Believer is supposed to be Lamashtu. The demon in the original Exorcist was Pazuzu. Unless they get together down in hell and chat about what they've been doing, Lamashtu doesn't know you. I find it odd that in this film, they just pretty much cut Lamashtu out of it as well. Like, Pazuzu was a really big part of the original Exorcist. In this film, you see Lamashtu cut to right in the final exorcism scene in flash cuts. It was supposed to be a really cool demon that was made up with practical effects. They had like a 12-hour shoot day with it, but they cut it out and down to keep the story grounded. And I'm just like, really? It's a fucking exorcism film, Joseph. Why don't you want to speak about the demon that's possessing these girls so we know what's going on? But then I thought back to the original screen that I saw before this film come up, and I thought maybe a demon is just too horrifying and it wouldn't be suitable for your wider audience. The demon mentions Reagan like 30 times because what are these movies without Linda Blair? It's like name dropping for the sake of the franchise that you're watching because, of course, Chris tries to banish the demon out of that child, and I just think back to what we heard maybe about 30 minutes ago. She's not an exorcist, she's an expert in exorcism, yet she still sat there in the room screaming, "Release this child! Ha!" And all this, the power of Christ compels you wannabe stuff, and I'm just like, dude, come on. If she would have won that battle, I would have been so annoyed. But instead, something completely out of left field hit me, and I was just like, okay. Probably one of the best decisions they made in the film. The Angela girl, she then basically gets across and takes out Chris McNeil's eyes. Ambulances and police come again, no one's arrested. You know, it's not like a little girl just gouged someone's eyes out. Oh, and of course, we got more references to The Exorcist one in the "your C-wording daughter" line. Remember that from the first one, if you've ever seen it?
You know what she did? Your daughter.
Now we move into the final act of the film. People of all different faiths are gathered, chairs are bolted to the floor, symbols are drawn on the floor. There's absolutely zero character development whatsoever. Who can be surprised? And then this is my favourite part. The priest, the exorcist, he shows up and he's like, "Nah, church said they're mental, I'm out of here. Okay, here's a Bible, bye." And I was just like, oh my god. And I just thought this was hilarious. In a movie called The Exorcist, doesn't have an exorcist character in it, which I thought was great. So instead we get the nun neighbor character as the Christian religious conduit. Victor gives a pep talk, which again is about as flat as his character. It's non-existent, I couldn't care less. It was about as inspirational as a cold cup of tea. I've seen a lot of commenters on YouTube comparing this scene to the Avengers Assemble of Exorcism, and I feel like that's probably what Joseph Gordon-Green was going for. However, it felt more like, I don't know, a bunch of Cabbage Patch Kids trying to put out a fire. It was ridiculous. So we then move into the Exorcism, the coup de grace, the final showdown, the creme de la creme of the film, and again, it's just mostly flat. There are some really cool parts, but you've had an hour and 20 minutes to make me care about any of these characters, and I just don't. Again, quickly reiterate, makeup effects in this part, really cool. It's a shame that they're let down by the plot and the film and the characters and pretty much everything else. They're beating in sync
Catherine's heartbeat. They're beating in sync.
line, it could have been really creepy, but again, it was just spoiled in the trailer. I think they just probably needed a couple more takes of it, figure out something else with it. It's a cool idea to show that they're possessed by the same demon and communicating that to the audience. It's a cool idea, executed poorly. The demons terrorizing Sister Anne was pretty great, using the revelations that we found out earlier in the film against her, really cool. Then the mix of cultures in the exorcism scene with the waters cleansing was really clever, comparing stories from different faiths. I thought it was quite nice. So we get Victor going out and he's throwing away the dirty water from like the cleansing moment. He notices the priest praying in the car. He goes over and he's just like, "The fight's in there, bro." Just like, oh god, what an edgelord. Then we get the one cool part of this film, the reveal of Victor's choice at the beginning of the film. He saved his wife instead of the baby, but the baby survived. This reveal was really good, and I feel like all of the other reveals that were ruined in the trailers could have been this impactful if they would have played their hand a bit better, I guess. So yeah, this was a nice little moment in there. It was quite impactful, but they just kind of moved on to the next thing very quickly. That previous moment with Victor's choice foreshadows the next thing that's about to happen.
One girl lives, one girl dies.
You get to choose.
And the demons give them a choice of you have to choose who will live and who will die out of the two possessed girls. This is one thing that I never got. The demon has the complete and utter upper hand. Why is he giving this ultimatum when he could just do whatever he wants? Because these people have zero power here and are pretty much just completely failing. But I guess they just needed to add stakes into the film, so that's the way they done it. The Exorcist comes in, but I'm thinking, wait a minute, you've only been in like 2 scenes. You don't have any plot armor. Wait a second. And then just as I was thinking that, he gets the Reagan treatment and his neck gets spun out. Yeah, the Exorcist lasted for like all of 2 minutes. Which then got me thinking on to the point of why can't the demon just do this to everyone? So more things happen, the demons are teasing the parents, trying to make them pick a child, and Papa Tony, religious daddy, saves his daughter. The trick is revealed, that the one that you pick to survive will die, and Angela dies. This choice is obviously mirroring the choice at the beginning of the film, which was alluded to moments before giving the choice. The girls then start to float like they've been taken by It the Clown. We get flashes of creepy stuff. We see a little bit more of Lamashtu Demon. We then get cut away and Catherine is literally dragged to hell. We get a little bit more flashes of Lamashtu and Angela comes back to life. Religious Papa Tony shouting, "I chose you, Angela." And the demon's just like, I don't give a shit.
Whatever, I do what I want.
The police and the ambulances arrive again. This is like the 5th time in this movie they've been dealing with these families. Surely they'd be like, cool, there are 2 dead people here, one of them being a child, 2 torture chairs set up in the living room, and a girl who looks like she's had God knows what kind of stuff happen to her. Who are we arresting? No, we don't get any of that. Everyone walks away. Then we get possibly the most expensive scene in the film. Linda Blair, aka Reagan, pays a little visit to her mum, Chris McNeil, in the hospital for a few moments. I would have liked to have seen the contracts, the stipulations, and the money that changed hands for that. In my opinion, obviously Andrew's still going to be possessed for the second film. I mean, the demon didn't really lose his upper hand at all. The people had 0 power. The demon got everything it wanted, and now it just has a sleeper cell in Angela, I guess. She doesn't need to know it yet. She can think everything's fine. But yeah, the people had 0 control over the demon whilst trying to exercise it, and I think it's just going to come out for victims when it wants in the future. Kind of like an Exorcist 2 style kind of deal where Pazuzu didn't ever really let go of Reagan, but hopefully we get that amped up into a better film. But we'll wait and see. And I mean, the name kind of gives it away as well. The next film's going to be called Exorcist Deceiver. It's going to be deceiving people into thinking it's Angela the whole time. So yeah, I think that's it. I never thought this movie was going to be good, but it wasn't terrible. It narrowly dodged a lot of the late horror movie sequel cliches, and then just fully embraced others.
Scared.
We've met before.
It was a bit like, what? The plot was very flat. The scares were really hit and miss. They had some really good ones in there, but they were few and far between. The characters, again, flat. Like, there was not much character development, and everything that really happened was very surface level, just to push the very, very thin plot along. There were a handful of redeeming moments about this film, but it was generally just a really safe Exorcist film. They took no risks. They could have really gone off the rails and made a really mad film with this, but no, they just took the Exorcist title and just kind of was like, yep, we're gonna play it safe, wide audience, give us lots of money, thanks, cheers. On to the next one. Yeah, that's how it felt. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like, comment, subscribe. It's much appreciated. I do have conversations with people down in the comments. Let me know what your opinions are. If you disagree with me on anything, let me know, and I will chat back. Cheers, and have a wicked day. Thank you. Bye.